All right, so let's take a look at exponents first. And I saw that some people were already starting to look at the homework and had questions, so this should help, okay? So I'm going to show you a couple of examples, and I just want to make a distinction here with exponents and the negative. All right. When the negative is not in parentheses, you're not going to do repeated multiplication for that. So basically, exponents are repeated multiplication. And when the negative is out front, without parentheses around that negative, we don't include it in that repeated multiplication, okay? So what it looks like then is you have your negative, and then it's 5 times 5 times 5 times 5. So the exponent is only on the 5. It only gets applied to the 5, not the negative. Okay, because there's no parentheses there, so we only apply that exponent to a base of 5. Okay, so what that means is after you do 5 to the 4th power, the answer will be negative. So the negative just kind of hangs out there in front, and you know that the answer will be negative once you do the exponent, okay? So if we do this, 5 times 5 is 25. 25 times 5 is 125. 125 times 5 is 625. And we know that it is going to be negative because that negative is here out front. Okay. Now, in contrast, let's look at what happens when that negative is in the parentheses. What the parentheses are telling us is this whole thing, negative 5 to the 4th power. So when we write this out, this is negative 5 times negative 5 times negative 5 times negative 5. Okay? So obviously we already know that 5 times 5 is 25, times 5 is 125, times 5 is 625. Now let's look back at our negatives. Okay? A negative times a negative is a positive. A positive times a negative is a negative. Then a negative times a negative is a positive. Does that make sense? Maybe? Kinda.
So if it's like that, it's always going to be positive?
Well, not always. I'll show you a case when it's not. Okay. But here, for those of you that didn't quite follow that, let me just show you. Negative 5 times negative 5 will be a positive 125. A positive times a negative is a negative, and 125 times 5 is 625. A negative times a negative is a positive. Oh, sorry, that's supposed to be 125. And this will be positive 625. Sorry about that little typo there. That should just be a 1. Okay, everyone good? Yeah, Jaden.
I read it. I keep getting questions with the subtraction sign next to the exponent.
Yeah, same.
With it up here on the exponent?
Yeah.
You're going to learn that in probably like a month or so. Yeah. So the next time you take iReady, you'll be experts. All right. Now let's take a look at what happens when that exponent is a little different. Okay. Okay, so let's do that same thing, negative 5 in parentheses, but this time to the 3rd power. So what that looks like is, since it's in parentheses, it's the whole thing, negative 5, you're repeatedly multiplying. So this will be negative 5 times negative 5 times negative 5. Now, let's go ahead and simplify this so we can see what it's going to be. A negative 5 times negative 5 is a positive 25. And then a positive 25 and a negative 5 is negative 125. Okay. Yeah.
Is it any different if the exponent is inside the parentheses instead of outside?
Yeah. You mean if it looks like this?
Yeah.
Yes, that is different. Because now you basically have that first situation where the exponent is only being applied to the 5 because the negative is not in parentheses with the 5. Sorry, it's so loud out there. They're just doing all the gardening work. So in this case, let's go ahead and do this as an example. Okay. Because the negative 5 is not in parentheses, it's the whole thing, then the parentheses don't even apply here. Okay, so this would be negative 5 times 5 times 5, which will be negative 125. Okay. Do you guys notice the pattern? Anybody notice the pattern yet? Yeah, Sophie.
Well, also, with, when you're dealing with exponents, like with these, if the exponent is even, it's probably going to be positive, and then if the exponent is odd, it's going to be negative.
Yes, that's exactly what I was going for. Okay, so when the negative is in parentheses like this, if the exponent is even, you get a positive solution. When the exponent is, or when the negative is in the parentheses here and the exponent was odd, you got a negative solution. Okay, so let's go ahead and put a note about that. Okay, so in this case, even is positive. And then with this one, with the odd exponent here, is negative. Of course, that only applies when there's parentheses there. Okay. With no parentheses, you just square the or apply the exponent, and then you know that the solution will be negative. Okay. All right, now that we have a little background knowledge on exponents and you kind of starting to understand that where the negative is impacts how the exponent is applied, I would like to show you what this looks like when we're dealing with order of operations. Okay. And really, we won't be dealing with super crazy exponents yet, but we will get to that. Yet. Yet is the key word, and I know like Jaden was saying that probably in iReady you're seeing some negative exponents and things like that. We're definitely going to be talking about that in a couple of weeks. Okay. Okay, so now at this point, I'm just going to put a little thing over here with GEMDOS. So we have grouping, exponents, multiplying and dividing from left to right, and then adding, subtracting from left to right. Okay. Just a little box there to remind us. Now for this example, I'm going to do one that has that fraction bar, so I'm actually going to write it down a little ways so I have room to work above and below it. Okay, so here's an example. Let me get my highlighter out. Okay, we're going to work the top and then we'll work the bottom. You know what's interesting here is if you look at this, you've got division and addition. These parentheses aren't even necessary, are they? Because you would have done the division first. Okay, so sometimes that happens, and it's good to know, like, hey, these parentheses weren't even needed here. That does happen sometimes. Okay, so we're going to do that grouping first. So negative 24 divided by 8 is going to be negative 3. Okay, then negative 3 plus the negative 3 is a negative 6 up there. Okay, down here we have a addition and an exponent. So we always do that exponent first. So I'm going to highlight that. Now let's do 2 to the 4th power. So 2 times 2 is 4, times 2 is 8, times 2 is 16. Am I right? Yeah? Okay. And then negative 8 plus 16 is a positive 8. So we can rewrite this as negative 6 over 8 and then reduce it. Negative 3/4. Okay. All right. And I do want to do one problem that has that parentheses around it just so that we can see what that looks like. I'm going to do one more example. Actually, let's do this one without parentheses, and then I'll give you a practice one that has the parentheses. Okay, this is a short problem, but we have a lot going on here. We have an exponent, we have subtraction, we have some grouping, and we have addition. Okay, well, if you look at GEMDOS, we always do the grouping first. So I'm going to highlight this right here. Negative 7 plus 16 is going to be a positive 9. I'm going to bring everything else down with this. Okay. Now at this point, I have an exponent and I have subtraction. Now the negative here is not in parentheses, so we only apply that exponent to the 2. And 2 squared is 4. And because the negative is not in parentheses, we know that it's going to be negative 4. Now, if the 2 and the negative had been in parentheses, it would have been positive 4 because it would have been negative 2 times negative 2. And then here we are, negative 13. Negative 13. Okay. I'm going to give you a couple to practice. I'm going to flip my page over in just a second here. I just want to make sure you're good, especially with those exponent rules. Oh, sorry, I should have given you some room on top there. You might want to scoot yours down on that. Okay, so 3 problems. Go ahead and try these. I'm going to walk around. When you actually solve them, make sure that you check with your neighbor and see that you guys got the same answers. Kumars.
For the first one, what's the number after the 4 on the bottom?
This one? It's actually -5 plus 1.
Yeah, it's the parentheses that make it look like 4.
Here, let me fix it so it's not confusing. Good question. Is that better? Yeah? All right, try this out. I'm walking around, so if you need anything, just let me know. Come on. My computer's been having issues. Let's do like 30 more seconds and then I'm gonna go over it, okay? All right, let's go ahead and go over these. I'm gonna try to talk over the outside stuff. Really, right by my door. Ugh. I shouldn't complain though. It's so nice that they keep the campus so clean. Okay, let's go ahead and take a look at what's happening on the top here. You're gonna want to do the exponent first because you have the exponent and you have subtraction. So I'm gonna do this exponent first, okay? Well, -3 times -3 is a +9. +9 times -3 is a -27. So -27 minus 9 is going to be a -36. So far, so good? Yeah? And this exponent is odd, so that's one of the reasons why that is negative after you apply the exponent. Then the bottom is pretty straightforward. A -5 plus 1 is -4. So we can rewrite this as -36 over -4, which is what? 9. Good. Okay, what'd you guys get for number 2? 4, -4? +4? Here, let's take a look. Okay, this time the exponent, or the base of this exponent is not in parentheses with that negative, so we're just going to square the 8. So this will be 28 minus 64. And then if we subtract these, I'm going to do a little scratch work. -36 up on top. And then below this is -9. All right, so -36 divided by -9, a negative divided by a negative is a positive. Fabulous. Those of you that got 4, awesome. Okay, next one. What'd you guys get? 37? Okay. First, we always do our grouping. So we have a grouping right here. That'll be -44, right? Okay. Okay, now I don't have any more grouping, but I do have this exponent. And -9 times -9 is a +81. I'll bring this down. Then we subtract these, and yeah, we do get 37, +37. Great job, you guys. Okay, go ahead and file this away. You can spend the rest of the time working on your homework, about 5 minutes.